Clark, welcome back to the Degrassi Kid Podcast. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Me too. It feels like the blink of an eye.
Last time we were on the podcast, I made you spend a lot of time talking about me, which was great. But I figured this time we'll talk about someone a little bit more exciting. Because you recently just got back from a trip to St. Louis where you visited Christine Prosperi, who played Imogen on Degrassi. What was it like to go travel and reunite Imogen?
Oh my God, it was great. Just like we're still just as close and like we talk every day pretty much. And like we send long voice notes. So I feel like I just like talk to her every day. But we kept saying the whole time, like, this is like in-person voice notes. I can't believe it because I just usually get to only see her in the summer when she's home or like sometimes at Christmas, but it's usually so like busy when she's back. So it was really fun. And I've never visited her in St. Louis and she's been there for so long. So
that is so cute. Since our last podcast together, Christine asked you a pretty important question. She asked you if you'd be her bridesmaid. How did that come about? How did it make you feel?
It kind of came about like back in the day. I sort of always knew that we would be each other's bridesmaids because we've just been through so much together and so many other relationships. And we used to live together in LA and like just lament about whatever guys we were dating at the time that were being dumb and like just talking about our wedding someday, like just talking about the future. And so it's just like crazy that we're sort of in this time now because there were just so many times that we used to just be like, I wonder what's going to happen. And I think sort of from then on, we knew that we would be like by each other's side for those special life moments.
That is so cute. Now it's real. I love that.
I can't wait to ask her someday.
Oh, that is so cute. I felt really happy because I got to connect with Christine during your birthday. I made this podcast getting clips from people and Christine knocked it out of the park. Christine sent me like 15 voice clips. And one of the things that she told me about was the first time that she like really met you and she was on the Degrassi set. She was watching you and Charlotte and she thought, oh, I wish I could have a best friend like that. And then now you guys really are friends. I want to know, do you remember your kind of first impression or memory of interacting with Christine and meeting Christine?
It's so funny because I didn't know that, like, or maybe she had told me back, but like, I didn't remember that, obviously. So that was so cute to hear that, like, my best friend who I talk to all the time has this cute secret memory about me. Like, it's not like she had shared that with me. So it was really cute to hear her, like, hear the things that she would say about me to someone else. As for your question, I don't remember the moment that Christine was talking about, but I do remember when I first saw her in the hallway, sort of like outside of the read-through room. So I guess she was there for her first read-through or something. And I saw her walking in the hall and I remember being like, who's this Nina Dobrev ass looking girl? I just was like, oh my God, this looks like a little mini Nina Dobrev. So
that is so funny.
It's a little like, uh-oh.
And she looked at you with these heart eyes and you just didn't feel it at the moment.
Yeah, meanwhile, I was like, who's this hot young thing coming to take my spot? No, I just remember being like, oh my gosh, she looks so much like Nina to me. And she was quiet, which is funny to think of now. And then once we were put in scenes together, I was like, oh, I'm obsessed with this girl.
Yeah, just fell in love. That is so cute. I love that.
Yeah.
One of the fun things is that you also got to recently reconnect with some other Degrassi cast members at Linda Schuyler's book party. Who did you get to reconnect with?
Yeah, that was crazy. So many people I hadn't seen in so long. I think it was like the craziest part was seeing all the crew. Like people that I just interacted with every day for those years that I was on set, and then just all of a sudden don't see them anymore. So that was really nice. And yeah, cast wise, I mean, I didn't need to reconnect with Charlotte because we're still tight, but it was good to see her. Same with Jess. I see Jess Tyler a lot too. But I hadn't seen like Dalmar in so long. It was so good to see him. And I hadn't seen Jordy. Oh, it was cool to see all of the older kids, I guess you would say. Like a lot of people I've never met in person. It's funny because anytime I see people from my generation, it's more like catching up with people from work or like from a past life. But it was weird to sort of have that be in the context of people that I watched on TV and like, you know, it was kind of a weird moment.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was for you.
Yeah, it was crazy. So for context, Linda Schuyler threw her book party, and Linda Schuyler has been making Degrassi for like 40 years. So there was people from the kids at Degrassi Street were there, Degrassi Junior High, all the way up to Degrassi Next Class. Everyone was the nicest person in the world. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it's a really good group. And it was so nice to see how many people who like maybe hadn't been in touch or like haven't even seen Linda in so long and got that invite and were like, absolutely, we want to show up.
We're going to go there and support you.
Yeah.
I love that. Do you have any like one standout moment from that event that you really, really love?
Oh, wow. I mean, probably getting all of those generations of cast together in the picture. That was really cool because that's really hard to organize. That's like a lot of people.
That was fun. That was chaotic and fun.
Yeah, so that was nice. And the speeches, like Linda's speech was so great. And I was so proud of her. It was just a really nice culmination of everything that we'd been working on. So it was really good vibes.
Yeah. I had the best time. I'll share with everybody my favorite moment. The actresses who play Hazel, Terry, and Liberty all walked in at the same time. They came together.
And they looked incredible.
They were the hottest people at the party.
Literally. I know. The pictures of them after, I was like, put that in a magazine.
And they were so high energy. They were amazing. So Sarah Barrel-Tower walks in first and she goes, "Hi, Jocelyn." And then Christina Schmidt walks in and she goes, "It's Degrassi Kid." And then Andrea Lewis walks in and goes, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, that's so great. There was also a moment where you were talking to someone like about me and I was like right behind you.
Oh yeah. Well, because people are like, "How are you here?" And I'm like, "Well, Annie Clark got me here." And
like, where do I begin? So we were at a hockey arena and I was playing an extra.
Annie Clark, do you want to hear something really cool?
Yeah.
This month, you're actually a part of the Degrassi Kid Mail-Out tier on Patreon.
I love that.
Yeah, Replica Pop Culture on Etsy is helping me give out student ID tags of Season 10 characters on Degrassi.
Oh my god, that's so cool.
Yeah, and they have everybody. Fiona, Adam, Eli, Claire, and this month, I thought I'd do something super special. Since February is so short, and I want to celebrate you being on the show, I'm actually going to extend it for 2 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, if you sign up for a mail-out tier between now and March 15th, you're guaranteed to get a Fiona Coyne ID tag in your pack. Isn't that cool?
Too bad I'm already a subscriber.
Yeah, and it's a great way to grow your collection month to month. We even had a Patreon fan named Sierra donate Degrassi stickers from their Redbubble page. All of that will be linked in the description, but first I have to welcome Amory Defy, Emily Arthur, Emily Raymond, Marisa, and Callie Foster, who all joined the Degrassi Kid Patreon this week. Annie, do you have any welcoming words for our new friends?
Hi guys, welcome to Jocelyn's Patreon. So happy you're here, and never forget I told her to start this podcast, so I thank you as well.
Aw, hey, thank you. Head on over to patreon.com/Degrassi Kid to join our little friendship club, but for now, let's get back to the Degrassi Kid Podcast. Annie Clark. Now, one thing I really wanted to talk to you about, Annie, is the fact that we spent this summer working together on Linda Schuyler's book, The Mother of All Degrassi.
Yeah.
Long story short, out of nowhere, I get this crazy phone call from Linda Schuyler's personal assistant. She continues to say, "Annie Clark has told us so much about you, and we're wondering if you'd like to come fly to Toronto and work with us on promoting Linda Schuyler's book." I screamed, I cried, I yelled, I think I just started running to Toronto. But before we even talk about how I got involved with the project, Annie, how do you go from acting on Degrassi 10 years ago to working one-on-one with Linda Schuyler in her Degrassi memoir?
I know. It's probably a bigger mystery why I'm involved.
Yeah.
So Ian, who was the publicist on Degrassi, he and I are really good friends, and he stayed in touch with Linda after the show was over and everything. And he is just a wizard at marketing and publicity. So Linda enlisted him to kind of help her out in the publicity department of her book. And Ian said, "Annie works in marketing now."
Woohoo!
So he said, "Why don't I bring Annie on to help me, because she knows Degrassi and she's sort of in the publicity and marketing world now." So I was her social media consultant, which is scary. So that's why we had to bring you in, because I fooled them for long enough.
Hilarious.
They thought like, "Oh, Annie's young. Like she knows social media." And I'm like, hate to break it to you, not that young, and also not that good at social media. So I had to bring in the big guns.
Yeah, like imagine being me and getting that phone call. Like,
it was made for you.
Yeah. Oh my God. So cool. So in between, you just got hired. A few weeks later, I get a phone call. What does that in between look like? How do you guys start planning for the Mother of all Degrassi and end up with me?
We were just coming up with ideas of like how we could get out like stories from the book and the idea behind the book on social media. And then we at first thought maybe it would be cool if like different actors from the show were interviewing her. And then we were like, that's going to be kind of tough to coordinate. And honestly, it just wasn't going to mean as much, at least I think. I think it would actually mean a lot more if it was a fan that was with Linda, because also for Linda, that's who's most important to her too.
Yeah.
And like, she just thinks about the people she's making the show for, every step of the way. And why should it be any different when we're promoting this other thing that she's created? So obviously when we thought, okay, if we get a fan involved and she's kind of taking a fan on this experience, like, who am I going to think of? I mean, they don't call you Degrassi Kid for nothing.
Ugh.
So, and they knew of you, so it wasn't like out of thin air. So I was mentioning like, I've honestly had a relationship with Jocelyn for like 10 years. Like, it's not like,
oh my God.
So I kind of could vouch for you. I was like, she's not crazy.
Well,
yeah.
not in a murder your family kind of way, just in a like, hey, I know your social insurance number.
Do you?
I won't say it on the podcast.
No, just my address.
Yeah, just your phone number and your address. Yeah, they know the basics.
Yeah, so I could kind of like, because we had obviously been in contact over the years and had enough interactions for me to be like, she's chill. Like she'll be cool.
Oh my God. You're so good to me. Now, thank you so much for the recommendation, but cool and chill. I don't know if those are the two words I would use to describe me, but it's appreciated. So after that, really the fun starts when I get to Toronto. And the whole idea is that Linda Schuyler is going to take me to 10 iconic Degrassi locations like Degrassi Street, Degrassi High, the set of The Next Generation. And of course, Annie was with us. So Annie, of all the places we went to, what was your favorite? What's one that really stood out to you?
Favorite location? I think my favorite location to visit was Bruce's house.
Oh, cool. Why is that?
I just didn't know like anything about Bruce before this memoir. I just, he's like such an iconic part of Degrassi lore. I did not know he was the reason that it was even called Degrassi.
Yeah.
So that was just cool to learn. I obviously learned about that in the memoir, but it was so crazy to be on that street. Also, I passed that street and that house all the time.
Yeah.
So it was crazy to be like, oh my God, I was passing Bruce's house this whole time. And just like hearing Linda talk about Bruce is the best thing. And then that's also the one where you shared that you came out because of Fiona. So it was just like a really cool full circle moment.
Yeah. That's why it was one of my favorites too. Oh my God, what a surreal moment. Because I've known who Bruce Mackey was for the longest time. And it's not lost on me that he's the foundation of queer storytelling on Degrassi. So
100%.
It really resonates with me that he was someone who couldn't be himself, and through his influence, he's, made an impact on, kids like me and characters like you. So that was really cool.
Oh, our favorites were the same.
Yeah. But honestly, I thought you were going to say the set of Degrassi The Next Generation.
Yeah. I think I didn't say that one because I blocked it out because it was so depressing.
I really loved it because as a fan, like, I know so much about Linda's story, about how she went to that building. It was even more run down than how we saw it. And that she was able to take something like that and turn it into this huge thing that made such an impact. Oh, it's gonna make me cry if I think about it. But like, that was it was sad to be there, but so cool to see how it started and what she created from it.
Yeah, like must have been the biggest trip for her. It's like, oh, my money and time is just back to normal, like nothing. But yeah, man, that was like to see a place where I spent like so many days of my formative years just like look completely different, and not even just different. Because like if another show was shooting there and it looked different, like that would have been weird.
Yeah.
But it was like the abandonment feeling
It was just
it
filled with
looked
parks.
like, yeah. And it was just like that building was filled with so many people and so much life and energy. And it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
Yikes.
That was really impactful. Those definitely were my two. Our start and our beginning, Degrassi Street in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to get too emotional thinking about this. I'm just going to move on to the next question. What was it like to work directly with Linda Schuyler?
It was great. I love Linda Schuyler so much. I wouldn't have ever thought that I would have another opportunity to work with Linda again, and especially so closely. So
Yeah.
It was great. Like, it was so fun, and she totally trusted us to, come up with our grand ideas for marketing, and and to be a part of the party and just like going to her house and setting up and all of this stuff. She's just like, from day one treated me like family. And it's cool that feeling remained even after like a decade break.
That is so cute. I love Linda Schuyler. I was telling Ian like how nervous I was to spend time with her, because I was gonna be spending like several days with her. And he was like, no, you're not even gonna realize that you're talking to like one of Canada's biggest producers. Like, you're just gonna feel like you're just talking to Linda. And I feel so stress-free around her. And she just made me feel like I had no worries. Like, she just loved me. She wanted to hear any stories or any feedback we had. She just was like so open to it. And I can tell, I can see why she was such a successful producer, because she just lets people run with their strengths and says, yeah, like do what you think is best, which is really, really sweet.
Yeah. And it, to me, like from reading her memoir and then like knowing her, in the height of Degrassi, well, maybe it's not, there were many heights, one of the heights of Degrassi. And then like now it's like, wow, you like have not changed.
Yeah.
Like in a good way. It's like, it's crazy that one can go through so many things, and like the Linda that you get from the memoir is like, seems like the same Linda that you just talk to when you're sitting on her couch. And I'm like, wow, I can't believe like all of this success didn't like change your personality.
Yeah, because even her interviews from like the kids at Degrassi Street, all of her values have not changed. And that's why I think Degrassi is so successful, in my opinion. Why it had so many different heights.
100%. Yeah.
I do want to ask now, not that I'm fishing for a compliment, but feel free to be nice.
Watch it.
But I wanted to ask, because you and I have such an interesting relationship. Like, it's so unique. I'm your biggest fan. You're Annie Clark. What did it feel like to go through like having this biggest fan for 10 years, follow you around, and then now you're working together?
Well, like I said, I wouldn't have brought you in if I didn't think like you were going to be cool and also kill it. Like, obviously it was going to be a little bit on me if you like stole a bunch of shit from Linda Schuyler's house. So I thank you for not doing that, that I know of.
I'll show you later.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's been cool. Like, I think I've said this to you before, like emotional, but like, we've also grown up together. It's like, I mean, I'm also a fan of you.
Yeah, you're like my number one supporter in life.
Yeah, I actually am though. Like,
you are. You got me in a book.
Yeah, and a podcast. Yeah, but it's like, it's cool to think that, I don't know, we first interacted when we were both really young, and it's nice that I don't know, I just have so much more perspective on what that time was on Degrassi and what my involvement was in it, especially after reading Linda's book. Like, it was so crazy to be like, wow, I'm a little tiny speck in this huge world. And I think when you're a kid, which I was when I was on Degrassi, you just like, you think you're so much bigger. And then you grow up and you just have a different perspective on the whole situation in a good way. And I think it's like, at that time, I couldn't even conceptualize like fans, and I still can't, but like,
that makes sense.
It's just, I don't know. I've had such a weird relationship with it, and I just don't like me. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Like, it's cool to me. And I think maybe you were like more at a distance back in the day, because I didn't really like know how to like have fans or anything. And it's just cool to be working together. And we're both like adult women now. And yeah, that was so long-winded.
Oh my God. No. I loved it. I loved it. And since it's all about me, everywhere to staying in. No, but I feel super lucky. I mean, geez, you spend 10 years of your life telling everybody you're Annie Clark's best friend. You end up here, like, fuck, that's pretty cool. I mean, this is a lesson to everybody out there. Stalk your favorite celebrities. You will eventually wear them down. Now, one thing I wanted to ask you is, you know, even though it's been 10 years, I'm still a fangirl. Like, I still get giddy over the idea that, like, oh my God, Annie Clark just said that to me. And I think you're really good at engaging with the fans. Like, if there's a happy birthday, you'll throw like a message out on Twitter. Recently I messaged you. I was like, hey, I want to surprise some Degrassi fans with signed headshots. Like, will you sign them for me? And you're like, yeah, of course. Like, you know, you're so down to recognize a fan when you can, but do you like have an understanding of the impact that has on people, or like, can you even wrap your head around it?
I think it's so hard to conceptualize, and like something I need to be constantly reminded about. Like, you think like I'm good with you, but that's because like we have a relationship. It's like, I think it's hard for me to like know what to do maybe with other people that I don't know. And I don't know how much it's going to mean to them. And I think you're so good at reminding me like what this means, and also like facilitating so many of these amazing fan interactions and bringing other people into your fandom and like, you know, your circle of Degrassi people that you know, and you're so good at sharing, like just sharing the love with everyone else. And then that in turn allows me to feel so good because I get to hear from these other fans that maybe I'm not so good at like letting in or reaching out to. So it's funny though, I actually was going to tell you about this because this was like another reminder for me, because I'm obviously a fan of people too. And I wouldn't say I never like comment or DM people, but like I always want to, but I don't. And I'm like, oh, they're not going to see it, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's an actress that I love, Casey Wilson. And I've just been a fan of hers for so long, and I've followed her career and I listen to her podcast, and I'm just like, I just love her. And she did a podcast like a couple weeks ago, and something she said in it just like was so moving to me, and it just like I just had to message her.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I don't care. She's never going to see it, but like, I'm going to message her. And I sent her this message and said like, this meant so much to me, whatever, just wanted to share this with you. And then she, like a few hours later, she wrote back and was like, oh my God, thank you so much for sharing. This was amazing, whatever. And the feeling I felt,
you get it
oh
now.
my God, Jocelyn, you know, I was like so excited. I like ran into the other room. I told my parents, I like called Luke. Luke's my boyfriend. I was like, oh my God, Casey Wilson like replied to me. So exciting. And like her message was so nice. And she like just acknowledged like,
oh my God,
that I said, like what I said to her. And I was just like excited. And then I was just sitting there and I was like, oh my God, I have the power to do that for people.
Yeah.
And I just don't take it that much.
Yeah.
And
you fangirled. I love that.
Yeah, I totally fangirled, and it totally gave me a new perspective on like how easy it would be for me to just do that more. So haven't done it, no, but I'm going to. And
send Annie Clark a message. She'll 100% respond.
Well, that is so sweet. Make it be good. I'll only respond to the good ones. I toiled over my message to Casey. So like,
I believe it.
But yeah, I think it's hard for me to like remember to do because I live such a normal life now. And I honestly don't think about myself being on Degrassi or being like in any way famous. I don't like think about that anymore, really. So I think it's a hard reminder, or it's a hard thing for me to remember to do, but it's something that I want to do because it made me feel so good. So I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy you fangirl. That is for even still to this point, I'm like, Mom, Annie Clark just messaged me, and we message every day. So that's how I felt as a teenager. I would literally like run downstairs. I'd be like, Annie Clark just replied to me. It's validating, and you feel seen and you feel recognized, and it feels good. I'm so happy you love that.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a weird thing. Like, although Degrassi was such a huge part of my life, now in the grand scheme of my life, it's not as big of a part. And I think it's like, I think maybe for a bit I didn't want to, I was like, oh, that's weird if I'm like trying to keep being like, remember when I was on Degrassi, guys? Like, it's, get it, move on. But I think now with some distance and the fact that so many people are watching it again, like doing rewatches or watching it for the first time. Like, I've had some cute 15 and 16-year-olds recognize me recently that said they were just starting it for the first time.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, okay, that is so exciting. And why, if they're taking the time to reach out to me, like that's not cringy. If I like say that, I was on Degrassi. That's why I'm like, I am going to post a TikTok with Christine Prosperi.
Yes.
I am going to get into showing my life a bit more. Maybe.
We all love it. We love it. I think that's great. I love connecting specifically with Fiona Coyne fans because like we have similar experiences. They're the
best ones.
They're the best ones. So I love treating Fiona fans the most and like using my power to make things happen. Like, and even recently you helped me mail out. I was like, hey, Annie Clark, I want to exploit you, get you to sign a bunch of headshots and then mail them out to Degrassi fans. And you literally were like, yeah, okay. And it made people's day. Oh my God, it was amazing.
I even signed the one that you sent me as a gift because I thought it was for someone else. So now I just have a signed photo of myself.
Of Luke Billick.
Oh, yeah, Luke Billick.
So I send Annie Clark a stack of headshots. Like, they're all the exact same photo. They're the same size. They're like the size of a postcard or whatever. I send her this stack to sign. And then to be nice, I like throw in a little thank you note saying, hey, like, you're the best. But it's a completely different picture. Like, it's a picture of like a whole different season. It's like Luke Billick like graduating. I thought it was like very clear that it was a whole separate thing, and it's on the bottom of the pile, and Annie Clark gets to it and she's like, okay, I guess I'll just sign this photo of Luke Billick.
I just was like on autopilot, like signing, and then I got to the end and was like, okay, and then signed it. I think you messaged me being like, oh, by the way, I put a little like thing in there for you, like a note in there for you. And I was like, oh, you mean the one that I just signed over Luke Billick's face? Yeah, I did not know it was a postcard.
That's so funny. I think that goes to show how committed you are. You like, I'm like, I could have sent you anything and you just would have signed it. I sent you a picture of Luke Billick. You're like, okay.
Yeah, honestly, I'll forge this Billick signature if you want.
Speaking of Degrassi fans, there's a Degrassi fan I want to give a shout out to because, you know, I'm not the only one who loves you.
Is Emilie, who named her cat Fiona. How did you feel about that?
Oh, I love that. I love cats.
Yes, you do. Love kitties.
Love kitties. And that is so cute. I'm honored. Hi to Emilie and Fifi.
Oh my God. You're incredible. She's going to love that.
Emilie, play that for Fiona.
Fiona will love it. Meow, meow.
Yeah.
She's gonna love every second of that. There's actually another really good fan question I think that came in from Amber on Patreon. She wanted to know, you know, you've been a fan of the show, now you've worked with Linda. Did this prompt you to kind of go back and watch any older episodes? Have you seen them before?
Yes. Yes, it has. And Jocelyn also has given me some homework. I still haven't watched it. It's late.
Oh, have to.
I'm going to. But Jocelyn has given me some homework to watch some 80s Degrassi because I never actually watched any of that. And especially like it features so heavily in the memoir and just obviously the videos that we were doing with Linda. So I have watched a few of those episodes that Linda talked about, which is cool. I still need to watch the Spike pregnancy episode.
You do? That's like the biggest one.
I know. It's actually like, oh my God, don't even put this in. I'm embarrassed.
Censor.
But no, just kidding. You can. But yeah, it has. And then also my current job, my 9 to 5, I'm working in marketing at this company, Wild Brain, which actually owns Degrassi, bought Degrassi from Linda and Steven.
Oh, that's cool.
And oh yeah, you didn't know that?
I had no idea.
And so crazily enough, part of my job is sometimes like going back over old Degrassi episodes because Ian and I are sort of the resident Degrassi experts. So they ask us to put together like sizzle reel things and like things about the old show. So, and you've helped me out greatly with that too.
I have.
So it's been funny to like be at work some days and like have to look for clips of old episodes of Degrassi. And yeah, it's cool to see the inner workings in that way.
Yeah. And like, this is something I haven't even talked about before online is like Annie. So Annie's doing this new job and she'll reach out to me. She'll be like, hey, I have to put together this sizzle reel of like big gay Degrassi moments over the entire franchise. Literally can't think of a better person to ask for help. And then my favorite part of that is that it transitions into us talking about Degrassi. So we'll like talk about the impact of Degrassi or the queer history of Degrassi. And it's so fun that like, I don't know, what a weird thing to happen.
I know. Who would have thought like all these years later, I would be like thinking about Degrassi so much.
We love it.
And, you know, shout out to another huge Fiona fan because Rebecca left a question for you, our fave Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca.
Yeah, Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca.
She wants to know,
would you ever play a lesbian character again?
Yeah, of course. Like I would play whatever character, but I don't know if like maybe the climate has changed a bit. I think maybe the like conversation is steering a little bit more towards like, why don't we have gay people play gay people? And I think like it's different maybe with a character like Fiona who like wasn't out at the beginning and that was sort of, it transitioned to that. I think maybe a character like that would make more sense to me, but I'm also like, there are obviously so many gay actors, so I don't know if I would be the first choice anymore, you know.
That's fair. Like you would be enthusiastic to do it, but you don't necessarily know if you should be the person cast for it.
I'd be enthusiastic to do it, like, because great, like I have literally no qualms about like.
You're not homophobic.
I'm not homophobic, no, and I don't mind kissing girls, but I think maybe like I would pose the question like, did you consider having a queer person play this part?
I love this. Yeah, recommend me. I look just like you.
Yeah. There you go, especially the hair now.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you my perspective. My two thoughts about it are Degrassi was always the show that was pioneering the conversation. So I think at the time there were no queer characters on TV. It wasn't as safe of an environment to be like, I am a queer actor. So I think casting a cisgender person to play a trans person made sense at the time. Casting straight girls or straight boys makes sense at the time. Because I think we fail to remember sometimes, that Degrassi started those conversations. Like, at the time I didn't even know what a gay person was. So that's my first thought. And then second, I think it morally doesn't have to do with the individual, but the overall intent of the show. So I use A League of Their Own, for example. They're primarily telling stories about queer people. Not everyone in their cast is queer, but they had the intent to say, this is a fair game for all queer actors to come. We want to hire you. And then, okay, in this one or two instances, this person's just better for the role. So I don't necessarily think it comes down to the individual. It comes down to the intent of the show. But I do hope Degrassi pushes for diverse casting, and I can see limitations when it comes to hiring like 13 and 14-year-olds who maybe haven't figured that out yet.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't really think of it that way. Yeah, for the new Degrassi, that's like something to keep in mind for me personally. Yeah, I have nothing against playing a lesbian, obviously, but I just think that there's like, you know, there's so many gay people who like gay actors.
We're everywhere now.
There's definitely someone like at this point at 30 years old, like there's maybe someone better for the role, but yeah, it would just have to be like more of a conversation maybe rather than like a yes I would.
Yeah. That's a great answer. I love that you have that perspective on it. My other comment that I was going to make is you can see the clear difference on Degrassi because, for example, you have a moment where Fiona has to come out of the closet for like a whole year. But then just like 2 years later, we get Tristan who shows up and never even, he's just like, I'm gay. And that's fine. So I think you can see the climate shift in the world.
Yeah, totally. And like, I don't know, like sometimes it's complicated for me too, because I feel like I'm disappointing people by like not being gay. I'm like really sorry I'm not, like I honestly wish I was, and I like so I think like that's also tough because obviously I've been fans of of actors, and like you want them to be their character. And and it's like, it sucks when you find out they're not. And I think like, especially with something as big as sexuality, it's like, you definitely want that to be at least the case. That's just how you see them. And
and like my perspective on it is like, it didn't take anything away for me, like to find out that you were actually straight, but like it definitely would have elevated the experience to know that like you connected with the material and like went through those same things that I went through as a teenager.
Yeah,
it just makes you feel so like seen and represented in like in a whole new way.
And you don't mind when I play straight roles?
I don't love it.
Well, you can't have it both ways, Jocelyn. You can't have gay actors playing gay people and me. What am I supposed to do? Not work?
I don't know. I'll watch whatever, but
actually, in one of the movies I have coming up, I don't have a love interest at all. I'm just someone's sister.
Oh my God. Wow.
So there you go.
Yeah, you have like 2 movies coming out, don't you?
Yes. One of them I kiss, one of them I don't.
Warn me whenever you send them to me.
Yeah. Which one is which?
Since you played a gay character, do you feel like when you're a straight person playing a gay character, you kind of get a new sense of pride or responsibility in advocating for the LGBT community?
Yeah, I do. It's hard to know whether that came from playing the character or if I would have just been like that anyway. Like I already am like obviously very for LGBTQ plus issues. I have so many queer friends, and like that's something that I already feel strongly about. But yeah, I do feel maybe a little bit more of a responsibility. And I don't know if I've carried out that responsibility well. Like, I don't think I've caused harm, but I don't know that I've done the most. So yeah, so it's hard to be like, yes, I'm such an ambassador, when it's like, I wonder if I could have done and could still do more since I was given this position.
This responsibility, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a great answer. I love that. I love that you went so in depth. I didn't expect that, but I love it. You're passionate.
Really flying by the seat of my pants here.
The very final question I want to ask you, the thing that's been on everyone's mind, a reboot was announced, then it was unannounced. Now that you've worked so closely with Linda and the book, and you know a lot about Degrassi's core values, what do you think a Degrassi reboot needs for it to be truly considered Degrassi?
Well, I think like what I've always said when I've been asked this question, or like a similar question, is like they can't just make a teen show and then just slap the name Degrassi on it. Like we all know as fans of the show, there's something so special about this show, and it just has its own DNA and its own like thing, like special secret ingredient. And I mean, we can dissect what that is, obviously, and Linda's book. Go read Linda's memoir, The Mother of All Degrassi, because a lot of the core values of Degrassi are laid out perfectly, and you can see how she's just woven them through the entire franchise. And so yeah, there's something obviously super special about the show, and there's a reason why it's Degrassi and it's not something else, and why Linda didn't just make a different show instead of rebooting, this one that was so beloved and popular. So I guess what I would want from a reboot, if that happens, is like, I want to be able to turn it on. And even though it'll probably be at a different school and it'll be Degrassi, but a different set and different actors and obviously different world we're in these days. Like, I want to be able to turn it on and watch an episode and be like, yeah, that's Degrassi.
Aww.
What I don't want, and what I think everyone was worried about with the initial announcement, is like, don't just make Euphoria and like call it Degrassi. And I know it's a little tough these days because so many shows tackle really big issues now, and that just wasn't the case back in the day. So obviously Degrassi still has to like tackle the tough issues, but maybe that's just not as shocking as it was back in the 80s and early 2000s. But Degrassi always had the perfect fine line between sensationalizing something and trivializing something, which is what Linda always says, which is so true. Like, she's so good at presenting issues in a way that like shows the real moments without like being prescriptive, saying this is what you should do, and without just like making a dramatization out of something for the sake of it.
Oh my God.
So they got big shoes to fill.
Oh my God. Wow, I'm so impressed. What a good answer. You sound like me now. I love it.
Only really in the last year. Like I had my own experience, but now I have the larger context, which is huge.
Yeah, and I really love your point. That's something I've never even thought about, is the fact that you're right. Like Degrassi really led the way for, controversial storytelling on television. And now they've got to maintain their sense of Degrassi while also still competing with these shows that have learned from Degrassi, and taken pointers from Linda Schuyler's way of storytelling. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that plays out. Now, I don't know if a reboot will come back in a year, 10 years, whatever, but it's just always interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Well, Annie Clark, those are all my questions for you. How do you feel about playing some Degrassi trivia together?
Oh, I can't wait.
I'm excited. Do you think you're going to do well?
On Degrassi Trivia? I mean, did you just say that I'm like, I know my shit?
Yeah, you got this. Now, to everyone who's listening, if you think you have whatever it takes to beat the expert here, Degrassi's Annie Clark, so Degrassi Trivia, then head on over to patreon.com/Degrassi Kid. And Annie, we still have like 20 questions left from Degrassi fans on Patreon. How would you feel about sticking around and filming a whole other episode with me where we just answer questions from your biggest fans?
I love it.
Great. That episode will be available to every single subscriber over on Patreon, and they want to know some really cool stuff like, what was it like to kiss your brother? How obsessed are you with Jake Epstein? It's great. But before we go, Annie Clark, there's one more thing we have left to do. Do you want to help me say thank you to all of our current Patreon subscribers?
Yeah.
Annie and I want to say a huge thanks to Amber, Becca, Brittany, Gina, Jamie, Jackie, Julia, Lauren, Max, Marisa, Mark, Sarahjei, Sawyer, my other best friend, Stevi, Alyssa, Georgia, Randy, Annie, Chantilly, Chrissy, Dave, Degrassi CSI, the Degrassi Generations Facebook page, Evie, Glenn, Holly J. Wonders, Kat, Kylea, Najama, Owen, Rachel, Rebecca from the Trail Mix podcast, Riley, SB, Shane, Shelby, Sierra, Sunita, Susan, Victoria, and Annie Clark. Annie was one of my first subscribers, and I gotta ask, what's your favorite part about being on the Degrassi Kid Patreon?
Well, it's getting episodes early and hearing my name being said on each episode, which I would think, honestly, you would probably include my name at the end of each episode anyway, even if I wasn't a subscriber. But I'm also just happy to support this endeavor that I forced you to do.
Aww. Head on over to patreon.com/Degrassi Kid to join our little online friendship club. But for now, let's say goodbye to Annie Clark. Annie, thank you so much for coming on the Degrassi Kid podcast.
So fun, as always. Even better the second time, dare I say.
What's your favorite part about being a guest?
I think that we can talk for 2 hours and it feels like 20 minutes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, you know that I'm obsessed with you. You're always so fun to talk to. And I can't wait to have you back because you made a lifelong commitment that you'd come on to the Degrassi Kid podcast whenever I want you to.
I sure have. Post the text. Release the text. Never forget.
Okay. Okay, bye.
Okay, talk to you soon. Love ya.
Love you. Love you. Miss you. Kisses. Bye.
Kisses. Bye.
As we say our goodbyes to Annie Clark, let's listen to one of my favorite songs. This is Fiona Coyne by St. Pepsi.
I think I was embarrassing with them, wasn't I?
On the silver screen, she is always playing make-believe, and she's got emerald eyes that let me know just what she needs.
They had a bunch of Degrassi fans come be extras. There was a fan that flew from PEI to meet me so we could talk for like a few minutes. I remember that being just shocking. Shout out to Jocelyn. We still talk on Twitter.